Hi, everybody. Rick and I are here this morning reading the Zohar together, and we invite you to join us whenever you would like to on Zoom. The instructions of how to do that are down in the video description. Today is March 29th. We're on chapter 21, item 232 on page 36 of that chapter.
Name, it was written, and what is their cry? Meaning, where do these dinim on which prayer is considered an outcry come from? It is because he raised his voice in his prayer, since he raised his eyes above. It is said that one who prays should set his gaze below and his heart above, as it is written, the eye sees and the heart covets. For the eyes are Hakma and the heart is Hasadim, and one who prays should be careful not to extend the Hakma from above downwards. This is considered that he raised his eyes above, and this was the sin of the tree of knowledge.
And this is why the Nupva is called the tree of knowledge of good and evil, since there are 2 points in its structure, 2 malchuts, one malchut of the quality of din, and 2 malchut that is mitigated in the quality of rachamim. If he is rewarded, good, since the point of the quality of din is concealed in it, and only the point that is mitigated in the quality of rachamim governs her. And then she receives the molchin de bina for the lower ones, which are good.
And if he is not rewarded, meaning extended the Hakma from above downwards, he is bad. This is because the point of the quality of din in her immediately appears on him, and from it all the harsh dinim are drawn out.
This is why one who prays must set his gaze downwards so as not to draw the chokhmah from above downwards. So the point of the quality of din will not appear over him. It is written that in his prayer he raised his eyes up, and this is why the dinim of the second kind were drawn upon him, from malchut of the quality of din, which are called outcry. This is so because through his prayer he was rewarded with drawing a masach, screen, over his malchut, and then he raises man to zerampin, called boys. And from that, the masach de hirik is made for zerampin, by which he determines between the 2 lines, right and left.
And then the blocked gates break, since they were blocked by the force of illumination of the left that did not wish to be included in the right. But now, with the force of the ascent of Masach de Harik, the left was mingled with the right, and the gates were opened, meaning the blockades were removed, but they are still not worthy for reception of the prayer, meaning for the imparting mohin digar in voice and speech, since the mohin appear only over the Masach of Malhut that is mitigated with the quality of Rakamim.
The tier is for the dinim of the third kind, which extend from the masach on the malchut that is mitigated in bina, in the ascent of the bottom hay to nikve naim, where she induces tears. This comes from the words tearing and pouring. Since bina and malchut were mingled by this ascension, this is so because through the tears she raises man and extends a masach over the malchut that is mitigated with the quality of rachamim and becomes fit for reception of all the molchin de bina. And this is the reception of the prayer, as it is written, that tears are never returned unanswered.
The Nukva receives all the prayers in the world, which are included in these three: prayer, outcry, and tear. She is built by them so as to be fit for mating with Zerah and Pin, to receive Mohin from him, and to bestow upon the lower ones. Since by acceptance of the outcry, the Masak, the Hirik, is built for the unification of the two lines.
And through the acceptance of the tear, she becomes worthy of receiving the Mochin. Afterwards, the bottom hay descends from the Enaim to the pay, from the eyes to the mouth, and the Gar appears and first receives the Mochin de Chochma without Hasidim, which is a prayer in a whisper, and thus comes into a zivug with Zerampin for reception of Hasidim. Thus, the unification of voice and speech occurs, and she imparts abundance upon the lower ones that caused her all that.
It is written that she receives the Mohin Dihakma, called Atara, Keter, crown, from these prayers, as it is written, "Go forth, O daughters of Zion, and gaze upon King Solomon with the crown." And she crowns the head of the righteous one, who lives forever, Yesod, Dizera, and Pin, with whom she mates.
This is so because in Zeranpin are Hasidim that are covered from Chochma. Only during the Zivug with the Nukva does he receive the illumination of Chochma through her. It turns out that the Nukva crowns her husband Zeranpin, as it is written, "A virtuous woman is the crown of her husband." Hence, her husband is crowned in her, and she is not crowned in her husband.
3 degrees are written here: prayer, outcry, and tear, as it is written, "Hear my prayer, O Lord, and give ear unto my cry. Keep not silent at my tears." And opposite those, the text concludes with 3 other degrees: "For I am a stranger with you." And then he says, "a dweller." And later he says, "as all our fathers were," which are the majority of the world. A stranger corresponds to prayer. 1, a stranger corresponds to prayer. 2, a dweller corresponds to outcry. 3, as all my fathers were corresponds to tear.
A prayer comes over the first kind of dinim, chokhmah, without hasidim, and since the lower ones are made primarily of hasidim, when chokhmah shines without hasidim, they are like a stranger in a strange land. Because they are built primarily of hasidim, they feel the lack of hasidim as being in a strange land. This is why it is said, "For I am a stranger with you," corresponding to the degree of prayer.
An outcry comes over the dinim of the second kind, by which the Masak the Harik is corrected and the level of Hasidim extends. Then the state of being a stranger ceases, and they feel themselves as dwellers in their country, since they have obtained Hasidim. This is why dweller corresponds to outcry.
A tear comes over the third kind of dinim, by which it is corrected on the discernment of Malchut that is mitigated in Rachamim. And Malchut becomes fit to receive and to bestow the Mochin de Chochma Bina Da'at upon the lower ones from the Hesed Gevura Tiferet that become Chochma Bina Da'at, called the patriarchs of the world. This is why, as all my fathers were, corresponds to a tear.
Man's prayer is while standing. There are 2 prayers, one while seated and one while standing, and they are one, since they correspond to 2 degrees, the hand tefillin and the head tefillin, a day and night. and they are one, corresponding to the degrees of Zer and Pin, called head tefillin, or day, and corresponding the degree of Nukva, called hand tefillin, or night, and they are one in Savug.
Here too the prayer while seated, meaning the Yotzer prayer, the maker, a section in a prayer. Before the 18th prayer, another section, is to the hand tefillin, to the nukva, to correct her as the bride is corrected and adorned so as to admit her into the huppah, wedding canopy.
Similarly, the nukva is adorned in the assemblies and camps implied in the words, maker of servants, and whose servants stand, and the wheels and the animals of holiness. These merits are to adorn the nukva, to extend upon her gar from the left, and to bring her into a savug on the 18th.
(235). Hence, since the prayer while seated, the adorned nukva entered the upper king, Serampin, in the 18th prayer, and he comes to receive her, we stand before the high king. This is so because when Zerampin connects with the nukva, because then Zerampin connects with the nukva. Thus, one should not stop between redemption and prayer, since the prayer while seated and the prayer while standing should be conjoined. When the prayer while seated is divinity, and it is called wall. When it shines in gar of the left, she freezes and becomes like a wall for lack of hasidim. This is why it is forbidden to stop, but to join it with the hasidim of Zerampin.
And because a person stands before the high king, he takes 4 cubits of his prayer, the length of the rope of the maker of everything. A rope, as in, he shall not tie a thread of wool with one of linen. Zerampin is called the maker of everything, since it is considered Yetzirah, the absolute, and the length of his rope, its size, is 4 cubits, implying the 4 mohin, Hakma Bina, Tiferet, Malhut. And a man who prays the 18th prayer needs to have an assembly for the maker of everything, and to draw 4 cubits, Hakma Bina, Tiferet, Malhut, and to bestow upon divinity. And because one stands opposite the high kind, for he became a vehicle to him, he takes 4 cubits, the 4 mohin, Hakma Bina, Tiferet, Malhut, for his prayer, which is the nukva, called prayer.
These 4 mohin, Chochma, Bina, Tiferet, Malchut, are included in one another, and there is Chochma, Bina, Tiferet, Malchut in each of them. Yet they are not 16 mohin, but only 12 mohin. 3 on each side except on the front, for lack of the Malchut de Malchut, which is the essence of Malchut. This is why the 4 mohin before him are absent. And we could say that, accordingly, the 4 mohin behind him should have been missing, for they are considered malchut, since there is inverse relation between lights and vessels.
With everything that comes from the male, man should stand tall. In that regard, they said that anyone who kneels in the blessed, a section of the prayer, which is the nukva, and anyone who straightens up in the name, the words after blessed in that section, which is the male, to show the advantage of the male over the female.
Being upright indicates gar, which shine from above downwards. But this is only in the male, which is covered Hasidim. But in the Nukva, which is revealed Hasidim, her Chochmah shines from below upwards, which is Vak Degar. Hence, she is not considered upright, but kneeling. It is written that this is why one should kneel in the bless and straighten up in the name, to show the merit of the male over the female, that the male mochin shine from above downward.
One should not pray behind his rob. It is written, "You shall fear the Lord thy God." Et, of the. This word exists only in the Hebrew. Means including and incorporating. That one should fear one's rob as he fears divinity, and the fear of the disciple in his rob. Hence, during the prayer, one should not place that fear before him, but only the fear of the Creator and not fear of something else.
Malchut is called the fear of heaven. The kingdom, Malchut, of the Creator, called heaven. The Malchut that is mitigated in the quality of Bina, Rachamim. And if one fears anything besides the Creator, he awakens upon himself the Malchut of the quality of Den that is not mitigated in Bina. This is why it is forbidden for one to pray behind his Rav, since the fear of his Rav is as the fear of heaven, and he will not be able to stand guard and keep only the fear of heaven. And there is fear that the Malchut of the quality of Din will awaken upon him and will separate him from the wall. And the wall, Malchut, will not be suitable for reception of the Mochin.
Isaac established the afternoon prayer, as Abraham established the morning prayer, in relation to the degree to which he was adhered, said in the right line. Similarly, Isaac established the afternoon prayer in relation to the degree to which he was adhered, the degree of Gravira and left line. Hence, the time of the afternoon prayer is when the sun leans towards descending in her degree towards the west, soon after the middle of the day.
As long 239, as long as the sun does not lean toward the west, it is day from morning to noon. It is written about it, the mercy endures all day long. And should you say that it is called day until it is dark, come and see that it is written, quote, "Woe unto us, for the day turns, and the shadows of the evening are stretched out." For the day turns corresponds to the morning prayer, about which it is written, quote, "The mercy of God endures all day long," unquote. This is so because then the sun is already toward the east. When the sun leans and declines toward the west, it is the time of the afternoon prayer. Quote, "For the day declines and the shadows of the evening are stretched out. And harsh din awakens in the world."
And the day turns, and the degree of Hesed, and the shadows of the evening are stretched out, are the degrees of the harsh din. And then the temple was ruined, and the palace was burned. Hence, a man should be watchful with the afternoon prayer, for it is the time when harsh din is present in the world.
Yeah. I think that they should wait and do it later. I mean, doing it right after it moves from high noon over, there ain't no harsh din then. Okay, it's later. They need to move that back a few hours. 241. Jacob established the evening prayer because he corrects her, the Nukva, and nourishes her with all that she needs. This is because the Vav de Havayah, which is Tiferet, and Jacob corrects the Hey de Havayah, which is the Nukva. And the Hey is fed by the Vav, since the Nukva has nothing of her own but receives everything from Tiferet, which is Vav from Havayah and is called Jacob.
Jacob is the middle line, extending the level of Hasidim over the Malhut di Harik, Jacob is the middle line, extending the level of Hasidim over the Masak Harik and deciding uniting the two lines, right and left, which are Abraham and Isaac, with one another. And after the harsh din that comes by the illumination of the left, meaning Isaac, Jacob comes and corrects the Masak Harik and is corrected and this correction is the evening prayer. The first correction is the masak on the Melhut before she is mitigated in Rakameen, in prayer which is called outcry. This is the correction of the evening prayer. Afterwards comes the second correction in a tier, which is the masak on the Melhut that is mitigated in the quality of Rakameen, and it is midnight.
242. For this reason, the evening prayer is optional, since it is included in the prayer of the day so that it will shine. For at that time the zivug on this masach is performed, which reduces the level of hasidim, which is day. And now, at night, it is not the time for it. The light of day, hasidim, did not appear now to shine to the nukva, and she rules in the dark until midnight, when the Creator entertains himself with the righteous in the Garden of Eden. And this is the time for man to entertain in the Torah.
David said, "These are the 3 days of prayer, as it is written, evening and morning and at noon. Will I speak and moan, and he will hear my voice? Thus they are 3, but he prayed only 2 of them, as it is written, I speak and moan, and not more. 1 for the morning prayer and 1 for the afternoon prayer. This is why he said, I speak and moan, sent specifically in the morning, which is the time of mercy. Speaking, which is hesed, is sufficient. In the afternoon prayer, which is a time of harsh din, moaning is required. This is why he said, and I will moan, but he did not pray the evening prayer.
And after the middle of the night, he would rise and say songs and praises, as it is written, and in the night his song shall be with me. This is because David is the Malchut and midnight, after Malchut has been mitigated in Bina, at which time she is a tier, for then Malchut has become a receptacle for all the upper lights. This is why at that time he rises with song and praises.
Thus, the morning prayer corresponds to prayer, to correction of the right line in Nukva, and the afternoon prayer is opposite of prayer as well, but for the correction of the left line in it, which is called wall. At that time, one needs to extend the wholeness of the wall, so there will not be a partition and a flaw between them. In the evening prayer is the outcry. This is why it is optional.
And midnight is tier, the corrections of the mitigated Malchut, making her a receptacle for the upper lights. For this correction to be complete, one should not pray behind one's brav so as not to reawaken the unmitigated Malchut and corrupt the midnight correction.
Our sages, members of the Great Assembly, set up prayers, opposite offerings, and because they found 2 offerings, as it is written, the one lamb, and they draw near in these 2 times during the day, which are the times of prayer, they established 2 primary prayers, the morning prayer and afternoon prayer, but the evening prayer is optional. L'chaim.
L'chaim. Tomorrow's the 30th of March. That was good. Read chapter 21, item 144, 145.
245.
Oops, 245. And that's page 40. All right. I got it. Yeah, I'm creating a new channel. The thing that's blocking my progress now is I need a picture that's wide enough for the banner of the YouTube channel. Every picture I have, it keeps saying it's not big enough. So I just have to go out and snap like a panorama photo or something that it can't tell me isn't big enough.
That sounds like what you need to
And
do.
while I'm at it, I might as well take a big photo of the American flag to do my YouTube channel for the other project I'm working on. But I say goodbye to everybody. Stop the recording. Happy day, everybody. Happy, happy, happy.